Okay, well, I am not very good about video or pictures and all that stuff. I do not like the image of myself, but I guess that's a sin too. I'm trying to tell my story, the hashtag survivor story. And I believe I was of the bloodline of the MK Ultra. It can't be just anybody that they choose for these programs, the Monarch program, all of that. It has to be uh, a bloodline. My father and my grandfather were Freemasons, and I don't know how much further it goes than that. But they are not the ones that abused me. They were also victims, but my grandmother was a very praying lady, a Christian from the line of Scotia, which is on her family crest. It is royal bloodlines who gave up riches and royalty to be shepherds. Also, my father's bloodline comes from Germany, and it is royal bloodlines who also gave up their their rights to riches and royalty for to be a shepherd. Shepherds again on both sides of my father's side. Now, I believe the Freemasons and Total Eclipse does talks a bit on this, that there are blue Masons, and on my grandfather's grave there is a blue Masonic symbol. But they were Christian. They were good people. They helped people, and it wasn't do more good than evil. There was no evil. One time when I was in my early teens, I was traveling from southwest coast to north to visit my grandmother, who was about to go into a home. But I was with my dad and my stepbrother, Frankie. And my dad got really sick, and we had to stay in a hotel for a couple of days. He had a fever, cold, and achy. And I went to his room. We had adjoining rooms, Frankie and I in one, two doubles, and he had a king. And I went in there and asked him if he needed a massage, because he was talking about the complaints and all that. And he turned to me and he said, "Jenny, that is not appropriate for you to be touching your father like that. You and Frankie can go out to dinner. Here's my credit card." So, never again. It wasn't my dad. But my dad and mother were, he was in the military. He was an officer in the Marines, and we lived on military bases. And I believe that's where the abuse started, because of my father's bloodline. But they did not know my mother's. My grandfather on my mother's side was a farmer, and he has a German name. But he kind of, I don't know, his bloodline search I did on him is very suspect. But my grandmother divorced him after 60 years of marriage. So everybody's doing it now, so I'm doing it. She had 8 children. My mother was one of them, one of the youngest, and beautiful lady. But on my maternal grandmother, on her 100th birthday, she said that she wanted all her children, 8 children, grandchildren, great-grandchildren, great-great-grandchildren. There were hundreds of us. And we all were standing around listening to her, because she wanted us to be there on her birthday and not her funeral. She didn't care if we were there, because she said she wouldn't be there. So, on her not even her deathbed, she had a very peaceful death 6 months after that. But she went to sleep. She cooked breakfast for her and her daughter-in-law, and in assisted living, but she could still cook. She took care of herself. And they ate the breakfast, and she said, I'm going to lay down now. This is the last meal I'm ever going to have. She went to sleep and never woke up. at 100 years old. But she announced on her 100th birthday that she is a descendant of Sitting Bull Lakota Sioux. That she is a daughter of, a descendant of. But they call them all daughters, even if the granddaughters, I don't know in which, nieces, all that stuff are daughters of the descendants. And so that explains why I had not the ability to be ever hypnotized. But when I was a child, I went in with my 2 older sisters that are fraternal twins. They're a year and 3 months older than me. We all went in together, the 3 little girls, to get our tonsils out. And what the story was that they clipped my jugular or something, that they cut something in my neck. But that is the time that I recall. I have a scar. I know you can't see it. That it goes like that and that, but it does come down a little bit here, so you can see that. But I have no idea where I got it. I'm starting to figure it out now, but a lot of stuff is coming back to me. I was probably in 1st grade, and when we had our tonsils out, and I didn't get out of the hospital till 2 weeks later. I died. Nobody told me that. Nobody told my mother that. Whatever. But I was out of it. I assume I died. I was out of my body, watching my mother at my bedside, crying. My whole face was covered with bandages. And I was with this beautiful, I can only imagine she was an angel, but at my young age I was thinking princess in a big beautiful blue dress, and looked like Cinderella with sparkly blue dress, and she was showing me things and how beautiful things were. And she said that I am not theirs, that I am a child of God, and that I will not go this way. They were, I wanted to stay with her, but she said my mother needs me, and she showed my mother crying by my crib side. I was horrified about that because I was not a baby. But I was the baby of the family, so I was always fighting that I'm the baby, because it was kind of made fun of. Instead of, getting all the best of everything, I guess it was probably a little jealousy, sibling rivalry, but I didn't want to be the baby. I didn't choose. But anyway, so at that time, I started seeing other realms. I would see evil spirits that were in people. It's not the people that are evil. I mean, there are some people that are evil, that are born evil, but it's pretty rare, really rare. Others allow demons into them. Some have many, some have one. I had the Jezebel spirit in me in my teens and 20s, but she's gone. I sent her packing. We have that power. God gave us the power. Jesus told us. So I was never disassociated. There's many times where they got a hold of me. They kidnapped me in Escondido. This can be verified. My name was different, so I would only give that information to somebody that could check into it, because I'm almost scared to check into my memories. But I know that when I was kidnapped, I was taken to Felicita Park in Escondido and raped. But I left. I don't remember the rape, but I remember where it was later on. Soon after that, after I was kidnapped and after the tonsils thing, I also had ear surgery. I believe I was abused and raped during these hospital visits. But anyway, so I was taken to Felicita Park and I left my body. People say that I was disassociated, It was God, it was Jesus, it was angels. I have never created another altar. And that's what they don't like about me. They were able to get me during my teens and my 20s with alcohol and drugs. And, I never did coke or anything. I drank too much and I smoked too much weed. I mean, I tried coke, I tried meth, I tried never heroin, but acid and mushrooms. But, I never liked it. I don't like having that kind of loss of control. And even though I was drinking, I was always there. It goes along with the kind of, you can't be hypnotized. I believe that's from the Lakota side. My dad and my grandmother told me, as soon as I got kidnapped, it was soon after that my stepfather and my mother separated. But his 3 boys were not there the day we left. We were shuffled off to San Diego, put on a plane, and brought to South Dakota to my grandmother, on my father, paternal grandmother. She separated me, constantly separated me, asking me questions. We went to the Lakota Sioux reservation, and she volunteered there. She volunteered at the Mennonite also. Can't think of the word. Orphanage. And but we were at the Lakota Sioux, and they were calling me something. The little children, and they were barefoot and poor and hungry, and they were like wanting to touch me like I was some kind of royalty or something. And I was horrified. I wanted to play with them. We were eating fry bread, and I was their age, and I said, Grandma, I started to cry, and she said she got down on her knees, and she was in her 60s, and 60 was a lot older then, and she got down on her knee and told me, they're calling you princess. I said, I don't want to be a princess. I just want to play. And she said, they are you. You are them. They are your blood. So that, I was a little child, 1st or 2nd grade. But I remember that clear as day, but I never knew what it meant. Now I know. My father always told me that we were at Wounded Knee. Now, Sitting Bull was not at Wounded Knee. There were several chiefs there. Crazy Horse, one of them. I believe I'm related to both. So, because of this bloodline, even though they have gone, they're not believing in Christ and all that, but they do. They just have different stories, and they've been indoctrinated to hate white man because of their beliefs that were forced on them by standardized religions, not just the belief in the word, but their word is handed down verbally from generation to generation. So they cannot be corrupted as much. That's why they have to be killed. We get rid of all the Indians, and because they can live off the land, they can survive without our money, without us. They don't need us, so let's just exterminate them and stick them on reservations because they're free people. That'll kill them, that'll kill their spirit, all that. But I came to a point when we came back from South Dakota, when my mother had it all together. We moved to San Marcos first, and we had this house in 1237 Rock Springs Road. I used to think it was built on a graveyard, but now I know that, or I believe that it was actually the demon spirits trying to find me. I did have some what they call tracking devices. They're little pieces of crystal that they used to track you back in the day, in the 60s. And they have been, I had 4 that came out organically, and the rest were removed surgically. I thought they were cysts, but I was told differently. This was just a few years ago. But anyway, so I mean that story can go on and on and on forever. But the kidnapping can be verified. My surgery can be verified. That I did not come out with my sisters. That I was there for I don't know how long, probably 3 weeks. I was beat up and raped in that hospital. I was not. There was no jugular. I'd be dead if my jugular was cut. That's my story, and it came to a point where when I was seen in the other realms, I asked God to please take them away, that I did not want to see it, and that this flood of peace came over me. I was 4th grade, I believe, and he said, I didn't hear a voice or anything, I just got a feeling of peace, and I will only show it to you when you need to see it. Well, I've seen it lots of times. Bad and good. I know when there's a demon in somebody, I can see it. And it's not always the person. You gotta pray for that person. Addiction is a demon. Everything is a demon. Sickness, cancer, all of it. Not just demons. Demons are on the low level. Those are they're kicked around by the higher evil spirits and fallen angels, and that's up on the top, the fallen angels, the serpent seed, the Draco bloodlines. But I like this hashtag survivor thing because I'm not out in any names. I'm just saying, but they tried to make me an MK Ultra victim, and they weren't able to do it because God saved me, and he said, no, you are mine. I have you here for a reason. So I knew since I was a child I was here for a reason, and that is to speak out, learn the word, and discern between good and evil. And yes, this is a battle between good and evil. And there's some websites out there that refuse to speak of this, and no, it's not. Q even quotes scripture. This is anointed by God, and I'm not gonna go any more into that, but I know I've seen them. They're here, but so is the good. God has gathered us for this time. Now it is our time to stand up, put on your full armor of God, stand up for what is right and righteous, and to save these children. Although some are being disassociated and creating altars, those are the ones they use for this Kate Maz thing and all that. Those are the ones that are used to hurt other people. But it's not their fault. It's what happened to them as a child is hard to overcome, and it's natural to disassociate. But there's some of us that they come back after visiting with my grandmother. I've been in situations where emergencies were happening, and I do exactly the right thing. I saved my dog from going underneath an ice backwards, running down like a 15-foot embankment to a creek that was frozen over. She broke through the creek, and she was on her back trying to get out of the ice. But if she'd been swept under the ice, she would have died. And I was down there in 2 seconds, grabbed her by the scruff of the neck, pulled her up, and looked up at my son standing up on top of the embankment, and he said, "Mom, you're a superhero. How did you do that?" With his mouth wide, and I'm like, I don't know. How did I do that? How did I get here? And I've saved lives of people. I've been in fights with men 3 times my size. Not because I want to fight them or they're saying something I don't like. They're coming after me. And I defend myself. And I get this superhuman strength. And it's not me. It's the help of God, his angels, his spirits, whatever you want to call it. I know they're there. They're all there, good and evil. And you can kick them out of your life, those evil ones. You can kick them out. You can kick the good ones out too, but why would you? You know, God, angels, do not tell you to kill anybody. Okay? So if you're being told to go and kill somebody because they're a demon or they're whatever, that's not God. Thank you. Have a nice day.